Hey, what's up? So I'm going to talk about Venus in Virgo. And before I get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm starting a new project on Patreon called Astrotherapy. And this is basically life coaching sessions where astrology is used as a medium and a way for us to discuss things easier. Basically, you would subscribe to a session with me and send me your birth chart or the data, and I'll do the birth chart for you, and I'll have it out in front of me. We would have a Skype conversation, phone call. I can make a personalized video, however you want it within the time frame, where we can talk about anything you want to in regards to your chart or just your life, but bringing it back to an astrological point of view to help you work through whatever psychological, emotional things that you want to talk about, whatever messages come through from the planets and from your chart, I would be happy to provide for you. So I have that up there along with the forecast that I've been doing. December's is free. If you want to check that out, I'll put the link in the description. So Venus in Virgo. The most obvious thing is that this person is picky in love and with partners, but they have high standards, not because they're necessarily judgmental and critical, which they can be, but more so because they respect themselves. They're not the kind of person who sets really high standards and is sitting there wondering why they're not with anyone. They're sitting there feeling like no one's good enough for them or that they haven't found the right person yet. Like they don't think of it as an issue, and really in their case, it's not. You have high standards, like I said, because you respect yourself and you want your partner to be someone who is going to be good for you, who is going to uplift you, who is going to challenge you intellectually. You really want someone that's smart, clean, put together, sharp, witty. You're not typically gonna go for someone that is a lot of work. Though Venus and Virgo does do this sometimes where they feel like their partner is a project. I want to caution strongly against this because if you base your relationship off of that dynamic, first of all, it's not really the healthiest thing to do for your heart, but also once that problem or wound is fixed, you're going to realize that that's kind of what was bonding you to the person. It's confusing for Venus and Virgo because they're in their heart space, they really want to be of service and they want to give their heart freely to other people. So a lot of times relationships will even take a back seat to their career or charity work and things like this. So I suggest that that energy inside you that is very caring, that desires to help and fix other people, is channeled more towards like clients or people that you really are giving therapy to or volunteer work with, because if you continuously do that with a partner, they might feel really picked apart and analyzed, which is something that Virgo can do, and they might not respond to that very well. Something that I suggest is that you be with a partner that knows and likes that about you. Venus and Virgo needs to be with someone that is mature and dedicated and interested in self-development. Virgo can be very blunt about, hey, maybe you should stop smoking, or maybe you should eat better, or maybe you should exercise more. And while this could really annoy certain people, the kind of partner who would really vibe with that is someone that's constantly trying to be better and wants their partner to call them out on stuff so that they can see things from a different perspective and be a little bit of a motivator to do better for themselves. That is a good match for you. You'll probably know right off the bat, like if you do one of your little Virgo quips at someone and they laugh or they're on board and they're like, yeah, I should probably do that. And then they can digest that easily, or it makes them excited to do something different and change something for the better in themselves. that's someone who's really going to benefit from your Virgo Venus and jive with that way better than if you do that and the person gets really angry or, pissy and shuts off. That's a pretty quick indicator that that person's not going to be a match for you. Just FYI, like, you can't really fight that kind of a thing. You can't Virgos, you can't change people, right? That's not your job. But you are totally able to be observant and analytical and point things out to people and be caring. And that's part of your service, is that you're just so smart and logical and detached from your emotions sometimes that you can see someone's life and pick it apart and be like, look, this is all you need to do to feel better. And you think that you're helping, and many times you could be, but it's not always received in the best way, and that can be hard for Virgos to understand. So that is something that comes up in your relationships a lot. So just be aware of that. And if you think 10 different pieces of advice, say maybe 2 of them, or focus on a couple of them. And like I said, if the person's really bucking you back continuously, then either learn to subdue that part of yourself or find someone that's more a match, because that part of yourself is really stemming from perfectionism and criticizing your own self and picking your own self apart. You know all of your insecurities and all of your imperfections, things that no one would really ever notice about you. You beat yourself up and you're so hard on yourself. And you do all these things and you, in a way, create such high standards because you are afraid to be vulnerable and to show these parts to yourself. So you create this really idealistic person and create innocence in your own self and retreat, and don't often engage in relationships as easily as other Venus signs might. You can be really hesitant and cautious to kind of open up that can of worms, so to speak, because relationships are really messy and sometimes you prefer to keep things really clean. But what I would suggest to you is that if you're able to find someone that is really embracing all of that Virgo Venus energy, to let them in so that you can fully just be yourself. And sometimes when you just verbalize all the things that you think are wrong with yourself, you can hear maybe how silly it is, or imagine someone else is saying that to you and you would get really defensive, right? So don't treat yourself like that. If at all possible. I know that that's hard for Virgos. They have a lot of anxiety, and you're going to have a lot of anxiety and worries about love. You're going to think about it a lot. It's something that's going to be passing through your brain, and this is not always the easiest place for Venus to be, because Virgo wants everything to be organized and put into little boxes and shifted around and compact and nicely organized and stuff like that. But love and relationships are not that. As much as you can try, you're definitely someone that's going to try very hard to, set up your schedule with your partner's schedule and make dinners for the whole week and set up dates and make everything at least you can control time somewhat and where you meet and what you're doing. You like to definitely take control and command of how you and your partner are going about your relationship together, and being sort of dominant in terms of when you're available and what you would like to do, because you can be pretty picky about all of that romance stuff. And in general, while you can be romantic and you enjoy partnerships, it's on much more of a mental and physical level. You enjoy kind of sex and conversation more than you do like gushy, emotionally revealing things. You love having a really intense intellectual connection with somebody and being able to pick apart their brain and pick apart your own brain and learn new things about yourself and have revelations about perspectives, and you can shift your mind frame and stuff like that. Like, that's really exciting for you and very passionate for you. And a lot of your anxiety and worry can be funneled into those really productive conversations. And Virgo, they really enjoy being physical with people because they're an earth sign. They like having sex, typically in a very clean, respectful way. and it's on their terms almost all of the time. They need someone that has really good hygiene and is really polite. Those are things that they definitely like. They prefer someone that has somewhat of a structure in their life, that might have a good career or a decent amount of resources and money that can provide for themselves and that kind of a thing. They're really turned on by like a career person and someone that is really good at maybe business or analytical stuff or math or, literature. They really like those mental based things, but in a way that people are like physically doing them and working really hard. That's really inspiring for them. They also love people that would work for like charities or nonprofits. Like professionalism comes into here a little bit with Venus and Virgo, and they want to know what you're made of and kind of what your status is and what you do on a day-to-day basis. That is really intriguing for them, and it's going to be on their mind a lot. They want to connect with you and understand how you live your life every day. And when they really do open up to you, they want you to be there as a part of their day-to-day reality. They typically prefer people that have good health as well. Maybe keep their body physically fit and clean. Like I said, these are really important things for Virgo because they are really all about kind of purity and an earthiness. They don't want you to be swarming in chemicals and perfume necessarily, but shower and brush your teeth and dress nice, and put a little bit of effort into it. They like someone that puts some work into themselves for sure, and is working on themselves. They find that really beautiful. They definitely can be romantic and they will express that to you. It just takes them time to get to that point, and they can be somewhat detached from their emotions. They're kind of happening all of the time, but they don't pay attention to them. That's the thing with Virgo, is if you've met a Virgo sun, you know that they're all over the place, but they're not really connected with that fact. So it's not that they're not emotional, they definitely are, but they might not want to share that part of themselves with you consciously. You can definitely pick up on it all you want and vibe with it, but if you ask them to have a deep conversation about their feelings, they're probably going to really freak out and not be into that. There's someone that you want to move slowly with, but that you want to be consistent and persistent with. Text them, respond to them, call them, ask them out on dates. Don't just let things kind of linger and flow, because then they'll get kind of bored and wishy-washy and do something else. So if you want their attention, you've got to keep asserting yourself into their life, because Virgo is very busy and all over the place because it's also ruled by Mercury, and they kind of need to fit you into their life. But if you're constantly presenting them with opportunities to make time with you or go out to lunch or have a phone call and stuff like that, they'll notice something like that and they'll make sure to give you the time of day if they're interested in you. Like if you're pursuing someone that has a Virgo and Venus, you'll definitely know if they like you. They're going to be pretty direct about it. They don't like playing a lot of games. Like they can, like anyone, but if they like you, they're going to let you know. And you can let them know too. And they prefer when you're clear about stuff and direct about stuff. Even if you're just trying to hook up with them, just say that. They would really appreciate that you are clear with your intentions before they engage with you about anything, because then in their mind, it's a little contract that you signed and they signed it and that's what they're signed up for. And if you start throwing other things into the mix, they're going to get really confused and feel a little bit violated that wasn't discussed beforehand, and then they weren't really prepared for it. They like preparing for things and planning for things. They're not someone that you necessarily want to take out on a date spontaneously. They'd prefer it if they had it like in their calendar a little bit beforehand. They're looking for the perfect person. And my biggest advice, Virgo, Venus, is that that's up to you, whether you want to see them as perfect or not. No one is necessarily inherently perfect unless you view them that way. And the same thing is true for yourself. If you consider yourself perfect, then you are. If you consider your partner perfect for you, then they are. It's all about how you want to analyze and view that kind of thing. But if you view everyone as people that have flaws and everything, while that is true, and I'm not telling you to ignore it, If you focus on that, you're going to close down your heart space a lot. And same thing, if you focus on negative self-talk, you're going to close your heart space down a lot. So I would suggest working on your own perfectionism and idealist stuff and learning to love and embrace and accept yourself and be vulnerable and do the same thing for other people. It's good to have high standards. It's good not to let just anything into your life. But at the same time, take a chance on people that are worth it, that put in the work, that show up for you consistently, and that genuinely care about you, because you can create something really beautiful through a relationship. And Venus and Virgo, you could be one of the most dedicated, caring, and serving partners ever. So don't hide away from people. You've got a lot to give to the world. All right. I hope that was helpful.